want to talk to you how we are going to own nothing and be happy. So I'll just tell you a real life example. By the way, I just got a phone cover for that phone there that you're looking at. It's sort of like this one. It's a piece of black plastic that you can make in China for 10p. And I gave 25 quid for it. 25! I said to your man, how do you sleep at night? Obviously the poor kid was only working in the shop. He didn't understand the crack, but I told him, you might want to learn about sound money, and you might want to learn about a money that has fixed supply. And then I point to my hat and says, do you know about Bitcoin? And then we chatted a little bit. Okay, but so obviously it wasn't the kid's fault, it's just a game. And it's very hard to figure out how anyone gets ahead in that system. Because guys, if you're a minimum wage, you got to work 2 hours to buy something that can be made in China for 10p. You exchange 2 hours of your life to get something that can be created for 10p. It's a mad system. Anyway, how you own nothing and be happy. I want to just briefly talk to you. Let me turn that down, because I know this phone is not connected to that Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, because this phone is connected to that Bluetooth. So the sound won't be great. Anyway, we better get out of here. Although I probably won't be able to get out of the barrier without scratching the wheels now. Feck it, I'll wait till I do this. I have to concentrate getting out here. Black shiny alloys, lads. If you've ever had black alloys, you know the crack. You can't multitask when you're going through skinny gaps with black alloys. Anyway, it's good to see us on. If you do me a great favour, hit the like button, throw a comment in if you enjoy the crack. You will own nothing and be happy. Or we will own nothing and be happy. I don't think we're going to be too happy. Robert, what's the crack? Good to see you on, man. The problem is, and I'll just tell you a little real world example of this, and you guys can put in the comments your own real world examples. I'm in the market to buy a camper van. And I've been looking at them, and I've looked at a good few camper vans now. And what I'm realizing is basically what I've been teaching. Since 2020, I've been teaching this stuff. And it's been kind of funny, because Bitcoiners have been telling people about the cost of living crisis that's coming, and how our euro is going to lose its purchasing power. And it's only now, like 3 years later, that I'm actually feeling it and seeing it. I'm like, oh my God, my euro is really not the euro that I had 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It's a very different euro. When I started my first business, I got what was called a kettlebell shunter, my friends used to call it, because it's this rusty old camper van that I picked up for almost 3 grand. And this was in 2009. So we're not talking about 100 years ago, like 2009, not that long ago. Okay, but I got the kettlebell shunter anyway in 2009. And the reason it was a camper van was because at the time I was living in a mobile home, and I had absolutely no money. I was so broke that I couldn't afford the insurance on a regular van, but on camper vans they had cheaper insurance. So a way to me get my business going was to get a camper van and use that as my business vehicle. Completely illegal. Had anything have gone wrong, I probably would have been ruined. But this is what you have to do when you're in financial ruin. You have to take risks. Or you don't have to, but there's certainly you're sort of pushed into taking risks, because what have you got to lose? Okay, so I had my kettlebell shunter, which cost me around 3 grand, and that was fair enough. Okay, but fast forward just a little bit over a decade ago, I went to look at a van yesterday. It was sort of probably similar to my kettlebell shunter, in that we're a decade later and this is a decade newer than my old kettlebell shunter, my old Ford Transit. So it was an old Transit, and the price that was on it was 9 grand. Okay, so like for like, it's the exact same as the van I got 10 years ago. Okay, because it's 10 years younger, but it's 9 grand instead of 3 grand. So what's changed there? The van hasn't changed. I'm looking at it, and I got down and I looked underneath it, and all I see is rust all over the sills, and some of the sills have been welded. So in fact, it was actually worse than my kettlebell shunter, because my kettlebell shunter, it only had surface rust. It didn't have rust in the chassis legs. Okay, it didn't have rust in the sills. Okay, now there's a point to the story. So the van I looked at yesterday was in worse condition, okay, like for like, than the van I purchased in 2009. But the van today was 9 grand versus the van I purchased in 2009, yeah, which was a better van, okay, was only 3 grand. So it's costing me 3 times the amount of euros to buy a poorer van. So what's happened there? The vans haven't changed. In fact, the standard of them has gone down, but they're 3 times more expensive. What happened is, my euro is not the same euro as in 2009. The euro that I have in my hand today in 2000, it's not even the same euro as it was in 2020. It's vastly changed, okay? And it's lost what's called its purchasing power, its energy. And the reason it's lost its energy or its purchasing power is because its purchasing power is being diluted, okay? And I'll give you an example of that. Oh, we got a bottle here. No. Imagine I'm drinking a glass of Ribena. It's a nice Ribena, okay? The Ribena is the energy, okay? That's the flavor, all right? Then I come along with water. Water's only what you dilute it with. That's not the thing that costs the money. It's the Ribena you pay the money for. And I pour 50% more water into the glass. Now I taste it, I'm like, bit watery, that Ribena, Janie, not much taste to that. So it's lost what? It's lost its power, its energy, its taste. And that's what's happened to our currency. Because we expanded the currency supply by 50%, we created 50% of all the euros in existence were created in the last just under 3 years now. So therefore, every single euro that you have and I have and we have buys less stuff. So the euro has changed. That's what's changed. The underlying has changed. And this is how you'll own nothing and be happy. And we'll all own nothing and be happy, which is the agenda that these bankers in the WEF seem to be trying to push. And it's just by hyperinflating assets, okay? So that anything you want to buy costs you much more money. We see now that a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old, they can't get on the property ladder. If any of you guys have kids who are trying to get on the property ladder, maybe you're of that age, you can't get on it. Like friends of mine are in their 40s and they're living with their parents. Like, what's the crack? They can't afford a house, they're gone. And I'm saying now I'm trying to buy a camper van, and while I can't afford it, I've got to give 3 times the amount of euros in value for less of a vehicle than I had to give only a decade ago. So this is how the currency supply is being screwed by expanding it, and it just means that people can't afford to buy the stuff. As I said with my phone cover at the very start of the video, I just bought a phone cover for 25 euros. It costs 10 cents to make in China. Obviously you got to ship it over here, yada yada yada. But how do you get to 25 euros from 10 cents to produce it? Okay, that means someone on minimum wage has to give 2 hours of their life to purchase something that can be produced for 10 cents. Okay, but it gets even worse than that. Euros can be produced for free. Governments print them for absolutely free. Okay, so while you expend your time for euros, someone can create the amount of fresh air, and it dilutes every euro that you've expended your time for. Understanding how money works and how monetary expansion affects you, and understanding that in the fiat standard it's good to be asset rich, or the only way to survive or to retire early is to be asset rich. At Crypto With Dinny we teach people how to retire early, and that's by teaching them about assets and how to accumulate assets and build a portfolio of assets, because the system just retires you. It's not, you don't have to do any work. That's the amazing thing about it. Okay, so realize that if you do nothing, you will own nothing and be happy, as the cost of everything you want to purchase gets higher and higher, and you can purchase less and less and less and less of them. Okay, if you want to find a solution for it, do what I done. Think critically and really open-minded, and explore Bitcoin, not as a get-rich-quick scheme, okay? Not as an easy way or a solution, but put some work into it, put some deep work into it. Understand the asset, understand money with a fixed supply is insanely powerful. And when humans are faced with the choice of owning a money that goes down in value, i.e. euros, or a money that goes up in value, i.e. Bitcoin, eventually they'll get it. Might take 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, but one by one, they'll get it. And by me understanding it a little bit earlier than the herd, it's made my life a lot more comfortable, okay? But we're still at a tiny percentage of the world. So Bitcoin's not finished yet. I believe it's got a really long way to go, and it's still early because we're still only on about 2% adoption. So we got 98% of the herd yet to figure this out. But my speculation is that they will. Guys, thanks for being here. If you got some value, hit the like button, throw a comment in if there's that you're not sure of. And for now, I'll say, Dinny out. Whoop.